to be able to figure out if the firm should go under business because of the economic loss, we have to discuss the difference between shutdown and exit in economics, okay, or economic analysis. Now, shutdown means a short-run decision not to produce anything. But exit means a long-run decision to leave the market. In other words, if we use the layman's term, a shutdown means you stop producing temporarily. Exit means you stop producing permanently. Okay? So if you decide to shut down, that means you still stay in this industry. You just do not take any actions at this moment. You are probably waiting for the moment to resume your production. Let's say you are waiting for the market price to be higher so that you can start making profit. All right. But exit means you totally leave this industry. Okay. And you don't want to produce this anymore forever. Okay, you switch to different industries. Okay. Now, any difference between these two in economic analysis? Yes, a big difference here is the fixed cost. Okay, if you shut down in the short run, you still have to pay fixed cost. Now, example would be, if you are running auto factory, okay, and you definitely need a piece of land where you can place the assembly line, where you can put all the equipment or offices, right? So you rent that piece of land. Let's say if you spend $100 million renting that piece of land from the government, so that's going to be your fixed cost. No matter you produce or not, no matter how much you're producing, you have to pay that every month or every year. Okay. But if you exit in the long run, there's no cost. So what about that piece of land? If you were to decide to quit auto making, then you would probably stop renting it from the government, right? Or you probably, if you own that piece of land, you can get it sold to someone else who would like to produce, right? So once you stop renting or selling the piece of land, you don't have to pay that fixed cost, all right? So that's the critical difference, okay, between these two decisions. Now let's talk about the shutdown first. Okay, and after we understand the shutdown decision, then we can talk about exit. Okay, now if you decide to shut down, two things we need to consider. The first one is the cost of the shutting down. Okay, if you decide to do that, the potential revenue you lose. Okay. So the reason we said this is, again, we're looking forward. Okay, we're saying that in front of you there are two options. Number one, you continue producing. Number two, you shut down. Okay, if you already decided to shut down, of course the opportunity cost here. The cost means opportunity cost is the potential revenue you could earn. Okay, or here we said the revenue loss. Okay. Then you lose this part of the revenue, TR. Okay. But the benefit, the benefit of shutting down is you save your cost because you do not produce, you don't have to pay variable cost, VC. Okay. So in our previous example, that means you don't have to pay labor or wage or compensation. Okay. You don't have to hire any worker because you already shut down. Okay. Once again, we would like to remind you that the firm already paid the fixed cost in the first place. Okay, so that fixed cost is always going to be there. Okay, you still, even you stop producing, you still have to pay the rent on your land. Okay. All right. So shut down or not, we have to compare these two. Okay, the cost and the benefit of shutting down. Now, if the benefit, which will be the cost savings, exceeds the revenue loss, then you should shut down. Okay. In other words, simply speaking, the money you receive from the market cannot even cover your labor cost, then you should stop producing in the short run. Okay, because the more you produce, the more labor you hire, the more money you're going to lose. Okay. All right. Now here, because the firm would shut down when the total revenue is less than the variable cost, and what we could do mathematically is to divide both sides of the inequality by Q, which is quantity of output. Then you get TR divided by Q is less than VC divided by Q. Now, TR, the total revenue, equals price times quantity, right? So here, quantity would be able to cancel out, and what's left over is just the price. Okay, and the VC, variable cost, equals average variable cost times the quantity. Again, the quantity canceled out. What's left over is just AVC, average variable cost. Okay. All right. So here we find a pretty simple rule of thumb. Okay. So if the market price is less than average variable cost, the firm should shut down. Otherwise, it could continue producing. Okay. Now, in this case, we find that when the firm continue producing, it doesn't mean it's going to make money or make profit. It's still going to lose money. But what happens will be, is the money the firm received from the market, because it's producing, right, is more than the labor cost. So after paying the labor cost, the firm finds some money still left, so they can use that money to pay its fixed cost. So the firm would be better off continuing producing. All right. Now let's show this on the graph. Okay. Now we lead both the the ATC and AVC. Okay, remember previously we said that the marginal cost curve is the firm's supply curve, right? We said because each point on the MC curve tells us the one-on-one relationship between the price and the quantity, so it is the firm's supply curve. Here we find that is not complete. Okay, the complete description should be if the price stays above AVC, then the firm would produce. Okay, so here again we find this intersection point between marginal cost and average variable cost. So the supply curve would occur or appears only when the MC stays above AVC. So we only find this segment of MC is going to be the firm's supply curve. Okay, if the market price falls below this, then the firm would produce zero. It will shut down. So here the quantity should be zero, and you should find another segment on the on the vertical axis. Putting differently, there are actually two segments of a firm's supply curve. Okay, the segment lying on the vertical axis and the segment above the average variable cost. Okay. All right. So again, here we said that the short run supply curve is a portion of its marginal cost curve above AVC. Okay. All right, and you know, uh, to generalize what we just discussed, okay, we would introduce another concept. It's called sunk cost. Sunk cost means a cost that has already been committed and cannot be recovered. Okay, and so in the previous case, that means the money we spend renting this piece of land. Okay, so remember we said no matter you produce or not, you already paid the fixed cost, right? So that's a sunk cost. Okay, and we would say sunk cost is irrelevant to our decision. Okay, because you have to pay it regardless of your choice. Why you should care about it? Okay, so when we compare between the two options, the sunk cost is not should not be part of our consideration. Okay, now specifically here, the fixed cost is an example of sunk cost. Okay, oftentimes people would just say, you know, bygones are bygones. That is exactly what we mean here. Okay, you already paid the fixed cost. It's already behind you. Don't worry about it when you make the decision for the future. Okay, now a simple example could be, you know, like every semester when you're trying to figure out, you know, what you would like to take, what courses you want to take. Okay, so for example, you set in a math class like calculus 1, right? And you already purchased, let's say, the textbook. You already spent $150 purchasing the book, okay? And before the semester starts, and then in the very first week of the semester, you find that, you know, after the first 2 lectures, you do not really enjoy this course. Okay, so should you continue taking this course, or should you drop it and take a different class? Okay, now here, when you make that decision, the money, $150 you already spent on the textbook, is a sunk cost. It is irrelevant. You already paid, right? So no matter you continue taking the class or not take the class, you already paid $150. Okay. What you should consider is looking forward. Okay, for every class you take, you have to spend more time, right? Like 120 minutes. I'm sorry, 1 hour and 20 minutes per class, for example, and then you have to spend some time after class finishing the homeworks, assignments, right? Do you really enjoy that? What the benefit or satisfaction you get from that, right? Versus the cost, okay? How much time you spend. If you spend the same amount of time doing something else, would you be better off? Would you be happier? Right? So you should consider these things, not the $150 you already spent. Okay? All right. And on the next video, we're going to talk about the exit decision. Should the firm exit this industry, okay, or this market, and at which point it should exit? And then after that, we're going to wrap up this chapter.